Hello TL Travelers and welcome back to the TL Travel YouTube channel. Words cannot describe how excited I am right now. I know that this story time has been a long time coming, or at least longer than I initially promised that it would take, but that is because it took me all that much longer to get my wedding rings back. But they're back! They're back on my finger and I cannot wait to tell you the story of how they returned to me. So if you are a new subscriber, definitely hit that subscribe button, but also I will leave a link in the down bar below to the video during Vlogmas when I lost my wedding rings so that you can check that out. And I will give you a brief little summary of just sort of like how I got to losing my rings right now. So if you do know the story, I'm gonna keep it brief, but if you wanna skip ahead, I will leave a timestamp also in the down bar so that you can just skip right ahead to when I start talking about the process of getting it back. So super brief, what happened was I was in Tahiti on my honeymoon with my now husband, and we were supposed to have a taxi coming to pick us up at our hotel room at 5:30 in the morning. And at about 20 after 4, I guess, we got a phone call from the front desk staff letting us know that our taxi was there and that we had to get downstairs, which was, I mean, obviously woken us up from a dead sleep, and we hadn't packed or anything, and we were like, no, we're supposed to have a taxi at 5:30. The front desk said 5:30 was the earliest that anybody could come. And they said no. There must have been some sort of miscommunication, but 4:30 is your taxi. There are people waiting. We can't get you another taxi. It's now or never kind of deal. So we rushed to get ready. And right as I was about to swing around into the bathroom to do a double check and make sure that I had gotten my rings, the phone rang again, and it was the front desk again. Hey, like, I know that you guys are packing, but when are you gonna be down here? And obviously we were just so half asleep, so panicked, rushing to get out. I answered the phone and I was like, hey, we're on our way out the door right now. Like, keep the taxi. We don't want to be stuck. And out we went, and of course I left my rings behind beside the sink, which I've never ever done. Admittedly, I am not great at keeping track of jewelry, but when it comes to my wedding ring and my engagement band and everything, I have been so good all along, and I always take such good care of it. And disclaimer, the reason that I take it off at night when I'm sleeping is because in more humid climates, when the band and everything rubs against my skin, it tends to just like irritate the skin around my finger. So I always take it off, put it in the same place, and put it back on in the morning. It's never been a problem outside of this circumstance. Now that you've got that little bit of background, I will continue on with my story. So let's skip ahead. We're at the airport. The hotel is aware that I've left the rings behind. They have them. I asked the front gate manager for Air Tahiti, like, should I have the hotel mail them to me? And they said, no. What you'll do is leave us with some cash. We will have a taxi bring the rings from the hotel to the airport, and then we'll just put them on the next flight and they'll be there behind you. So like, perfect. So I get on my flight to LA, and once we got to LA, we had one night to stay over while we were there. So when I got to LA, I got an email letting me know that the rings had arrived at the airport and they were actually coming right behind me, which was perfect. So, you know, in my optimistic way, I thought to myself, maybe they'll even beat me home or make it to LA before our flight leaves to go home to Edmonton, right? If they're right behind me and we're staying the night in LA, like, why wouldn't that be a possibility? That's my optimism for you. So get home to Edmonton, hadn't heard anything, that's fine. But then I wasn't really sure exactly how long I was supposed to be waiting. Like, no one had given me a time frame. They just said they're right behind you. So after about, I'd say about 6 days, I thought to myself, maybe I'll just send a quick email to Air Tahiti, because I had been given like a point of contact, just to see like maybe if they could give me a tracking number or anything so that I know at least when is time to get worried, you know what I mean? Cause you know, that's important stuff. So I get an email back letting me know that the rings had gotten to LA, and then once they arrived in LA, because there was no duty forms or anything to go with them because of their value, they were returned to Tahiti, and that in order for me to get them, I was going to have to arrange for either UPS, DHL, or DHL? DSL? DS? Or FedEx to come to the airport and pick them up and then mail them to me. So at this point I was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, it's just another step to take, but obviously I want my rings back. I'll do what it takes. So I called UPS first, and they said that they weren't going to be able to do the pickup from the airport. I called DHL. I hope I have that right. And they said the same thing. And then I called FedEx, and FedEx began the process of putting together a pickup order for me. So that was perfect. And then when it got to the point of putting in the pickup address for the airport, they only have a PO box. And FedEx basically said, like, we can do pickups in Tahiti, that's not gonna be a problem, but we can't pick up from the airport because it only has a PO box. We need a point of contact at the airport, and we need an actual address. So the airport couldn't give that to me. They basically said, no, we only have a PO box, but FedEx will pick up here, which, okay, maybe tell them that. So I called back FedEx and I explained the whole situation, and I basically just said, like, I really need your help. Please help me if there's anything that you can do. So after about an hour on the phone with them and going over what kind of envelope it needed to be in because of the value of the parcel and what kind of customs forms it needed, and as well as the shipping label that would need to be on it, if I could get the guy, and I will call him, what will I call him? I'll just call him Jonathan. If we could get Jonathan from baggage claim in Tahiti to print off the shipping label and put it in the correct envelope, they would pick up. But they needed to be in touch with him to arrange a pickup because it had to be from that exact person. So I sent him an email, and at this point it had been about 2 weeks or so since I had left the rings. But I was still being super polite, because if I've learned anything from working in customer service, it's that the second that I lose my cool, they're not gonna wanna help me anymore anyways. So I sent an email letting him know the situation, and he didn't get back to me. And then a couple days later, I sent him another email, and he still didn't get back to me. And then the day after that, I went on FedEx and I created the shipping labels myself in an order. And then I forwarded them to him and just explained, like, okay, everything is there for you. If you can just print it off and then get in touch with FedEx at the following number, blah, 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 then they'll come and pick it up. But that's what you need to do. Didn't hear anything. So at this point, my point of contact, Jonathan, has decided that he's no longer speaking to me. So that just made things a whole lot harder, because that's who I need. So of course, social media, I went onto Twitter, and I decided that I would send a personal tweet because there was no email address. Let's just be clear. Email would have been my first choice. So I did a personal tweet to Air Tahiti and explained the situation. And they said that what I should do is get in touch with Air France, because it's one of those flights where it's like Air Tahiti in partnership with Air France. And that Air Tahiti couldn't do anything else for me without a tracking number, which I wasn't given. So I gave them all of my information. I was probably in discussions with them for maybe 2 or 3 days. And then at the end of the longest series of questions and figuring everything out, they just forwarded me a statement from Jonathan that simply said, I'm sorry, traveler is aware of her responsibilities. Pickup is to be arranged by FedEx. Right. So of course at this point I was getting so frustrated. But the way that I'm feeling about it right now, obviously, is that FedEx could have easily picked my rings up from the hotel. They were only at the airport because it was that staff who told me to have them sent there. And also, let's be real, I left them with cash to pay the taxi and to send my rings to me. And like, can we just take a moment? Like, what was that cash used for? At this point, I was so defeated, and I can't even begin to tell you, like, my rings are both covered under insurance. That's not the issue. I'm just one of those people who, like, I hold on to Christmas cards from family members and like letters that my best friend wrote me in the 6th grade. So obviously I want to have my wedding band, and I had only this is the only trip that I'd ever brought it on because it was my honeymoon. Usually I leave it at home, and just like the whole circumstance around it, I was just so upset and so frustrated. I would be on the phone with customer service from somewhere all day long, and then I would just cry myself to sleep out of sheer frustration. So at this point, it had been almost a month, and I was over it. But you know how people always say, like, when you stop looking for love, it comes to you. Or when you stop trying for a baby, that's when you get pregnant. This felt like one of those situations. I don't get defeated easily. I don't give up easily. I don't feel defeated easily. And I was out, son. Like, I was done. And then there it was, the message. So for those of you who aren't aware, my Vlogmas was filmed a few weeks in advance because I was gonna be on my honeymoon and I didn't want to be filming and editing you know, through my entire honeymoon. So my first couple of Vlogmases had gone up at this point, and one of my subscribers, girl, shout out to you, she comments on one of my videos and asks me if I am going to be in Tahiti with the Blonde Abroad. So if you don't know who the Blonde Abroad is, I'm going to link her information in the down bar below as well. You should check out her channel, hit subscribe, follow her. She has an amazing Instagram account. So Melissa asked me if I'm going to be meeting up with the Blonde Abroad, and I saw her post. I was like, oh, that's so exciting. Like in my head, I was like, well, I'm not there now, but that's so exciting that the Blonde Abroad is also going to Tahiti. I can't wait to see her posts. So at the start of my trip to Tahiti from LA, before all of this went down, I had actually been on a plane with a ton of beauty vloggers and YouTubers that I looked up to and admired. And I'm not really one of those people who like puts themselves out there if they don't feel like it's gonna be well received. So I hadn't said anything, and then afterwards I just kind of regretted it. You know, even just walking by and saying like, hey, I really enjoy your videos, not even mentioning that I'm on YouTube. I don't know. I just didn't want it to seem like really opportunistic, or I don't know. I'm always in my own head. So anyway, normally I wouldn't even have done it, but I was just so at the end of my rope, and I thought maybe I'll just send her like a quick little personal message on Instagram, and if she's one of those people who doesn't, you know, check it or doesn't respond or whatever, no harm, no foul, but I've tried. And so I hit send, and I was like, chances are she's not gonna respond. And then within 12 hours, because of like the time change, obviously, when I sent it, she would have been asleep. So her morning, she just responds and she's like, I'd love to try and help. I'm flying out tonight. Oh, and also at this point, I would like to very quickly interject that I do have a friend that is in customs, and I was in touch with her before I made this arrangement, asking what kind of information she would need to get the rings into the United States and if there was going to be any duty fees or anything like that. And I was ready with all of the information that I needed in case there was any issues. So if you are watching this video and thinking like, oh, I can just have someone grab something for me in another country and just bring it in and just mail it and all that kind of stuff, there's a whole set of circumstances around this that made it okay. So yeah, before any comments like that are made below regarding like if I had any information on how to go about doing this, yes, I did have someone who worked in customs sort of helping me with the steps that I needed along the way. So you're always in good hands. And now on with the story. So I called Air Tahiti to their like baggage line or whatever, because they don't have a customer service like line, and just told the lady like, you need to get in touch with someone at the airport, give them this name and this passport number, and let them know that they're getting on this flight at this time, and this is what time they're gonna get to baggage, and you are to release the rings to them. And yeah, they forwarded the information to baggage, and soon enough I had a notification from another one of my subscribers. She had them in her possession, and nothing made me happier. So yeah, she got them for me and she brought them into the United States, and then she sent them in the mail and they returned to me in Edmonton, and I am so forever grateful. And at the end of the day, like, I don't know, the like cute thing about it, I don't know if it's cute, but like just the thing about it is how it was this community, and like being a part of the YouTube community and having subscribers who care, and having friends on Twitter who care, and having, you know, other YouTubers who are complete strangers to me just, you know, understand and care enough to help me. And it means so much to me to have them back. So I have them back now. They're on my finger. I hope that this video was not too long and I didn't ramble on too much. I'll try and cut it to the best of my ability, but yeah, just, it's so nice to A, not have to stress about it anymore, and B, just know that this community really is, in so many ways, what it claims to be. I'm such a sappy person. I'm so sappy now. I'm so sorry, but I just love you guys. I do. I'm so excited to have my rings back. If you guys liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to head over to the Blonde Abroad and show her some love. on Instagram and on YouTube, subscribe to her channel, all those things, because at this point, there's nothing more that I can do to thank her, but I mean, I wish there was. So until next time, hit that subscribe button. We post new travel content every Thursday and Sunday, and don't forget to stay great and travel safe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Love you guys. Bye.